Well, have y'all ever heard of this game, Final Fantasy 13?
Yeah.
I've heard of it. That's the one with Pac-Man, right?
That's right, and it's pretty good.
It's
actually
pretty really good.
You're thinking of Final Fantasy 1 through 12. This is the one with Miss Pac-Man.
Ah, right. How foolish of me.
I know. Well, I guess maybe
clearly
not Final Fantasy 6. But
qualified to be on this podcast, which is the Evan. Who the fuck's Evan? Hi, I am your host, Evan FF.
Evan FF.
Every Evanescence.
This is the Every Effin' FF podcast. I am Carl Germ.
I'm Curtis Ware.
I'm Alex.
Damn, we got
I've
the
never
full
said my
name.
last name.
Damn. We got Alex. Like just redacted.
Yeah, just beep it out.
We're talking about Final Fantasy 13. We're
right.
back. To the listeners, it's been no time at all. It's been the normal amount of time. For us, it's been a little bit more time. So the rust, if you're here for that early season rust thinking it's gone, then bam, it's right back.
Well, that's what delivers all the flavor, you know? It's kind of like seasoning a cast iron pan.
Yeah, exactly.
You just gotta leave all that grime on. You never wash your podcast off.
Yeah, that's why you have to put your cast iron pan in the sink and put as much laundry detergent and dish detergent and all of that in there and really just get deep in there to clean it real good.
That's right.
I just put it in the dishwasher.
I just go to McDonald's, so I have to clear that whole mess.
Oh, yeah.
And you know where else I go is the Pulse Vestige, which let's discuss right now. How do you pronounce that word?
They say vestige.
Is it vestige?
Yeah, they say vestige, I think.
Good.
But yeah, I don't know. I think I was also thinking of the word visage when I was trying to pronounce it in my stupid dumb head.
It is a real word.
The vestige.
What is a vestige? Is like a remaining, right?
It's
it means
sort of like an
leftover.
atrium.
It says a trace. Yeah, a trace of something that is disappearing or no longer exists.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like an echo.
Quite.
Also, in biology, a part of an organ of an organism that has become reduced or functionless in the course of evolution.
Oh, like a vestigial tail.
Yes. Intriguing.
That makes sense.
Singular.
That actually makes sense to call it this too, because like we learn in the data logs. I don't remember where this pops up in the data logs.
I thought it was like a vestibule.
A vestibule. This pops up in the data logs for this episode that and I think it's fine to say here because I don't really remember when it pops up and it's not part of the immediate plot that we're dealing with. But in the data logs during chapter 2, if you look in them, you can find some that explain what this place is. I think it's actually the data log for this place, for the Pulse Vestige, right? And they say in it that like in the past there have been wars between Pulse and Cocoon, and like when Cocoon was damaged, they just wholesale took whole buildings from Pulse and just like patched Cocoon up using that. And so like they're just like, well, that's got a lot of steel and materials, fuck it. And you just throw like a whole skyscraper in to like to make your city like well again.
So it's likely then that this world that we're thrown into in Final Fantasy 13 is the same world as the Katamari Damacy world, and the Vestige is basically just a giant Katamari ball.
Well, yeah, I was gonna say the prince is just
Cocoon,
a fal'Cie.
Yeah,
yeah.
He's just a little guy.
He's just a little tiny fal'Cie. He's a little lonely rolling star.
Oh, that's cool. I didn't see that in the data logs. I've not been good doing my my summer reading of the data logs.
There's a lot of it.
Yeah.
I'm here for you on it. I'm here. I'm enjoying.
Do you want to speak on the data logs a little bit, Alex? I think there's been a bit of a significant change with your relationship to the data logs since the last time we recorded, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, yeah. We had like 2 weeks off, and so I just freaking data dumped all the text from the game and actually just organize it in a wiki, which I'm going to start pooling information as we comb through it at our everyfnff.info, which I did put the entire data log from this game up in there.
It's real nice looking.
Yeah, it's very handy. It's
I
very
need to
easy
make a
search.
login for it. I need to be able to log into this and have a cool gamer name as my my username.
Yeah, we'll do wiki edits. We'll just put on there. We'll put our own stuff in there.
Curtis stinks.
Yeah. Yeah, just like one of the data logs just at the bottom.
We need an army of moderators for this new wiki
To stop specifically the three of us
to,
from
to specifically stop me from like getting drunk and writing mean things about
it just
my
it
good
just
friends.
tells us who Psycom is, but in the middle it says like Carl is smelly.
See, that could happen because I've been trying to like not read it too much because I don't want to spoil anything for myself.
Gotcha. Well, so let's see. I guess we go ahead and get into it. Do we have anything else we want to talk about first, or
No,
We're in the Vestige.
yeah.
So they basically grafted like just leftover buildings on the outside of Cocoon.
Yeah, I guess so. I guess that's why this would be here, because like I think we've already learned, right, that this is something that like Psycom found, and that everybody who was around this this vestige was getting purged, right?
It's like the big prize.
Yeah.
That's the big prize. That's right. Except this time, being around the big prize means you have to be deported. So
Yeah.
So yeah, that's where we start, and I think we're in an area called the Sacrarium, which is
Gross.
the first time I've ever heard that.
There's
word.
a lot of really dumb words in this chapter.
It's like Sacrium or something like that. Yeah, like
Sacrarium, yeah.
I'm gonna look it up
it's an aquarium for
For your sack.
for your sack.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what? Somebody told me on the stream where I was doing my homework. Actually, what it is? It's the sanctuary area of a church.
oh.
So I think like the main room is the Sacrarium.
My sanctuary. God, that song
My
fucking rips.
sacrifice. I'm sorry, that's not even
But
similar.
we are inside this place, and we don't really have a sense of scale of how big it is from the outside because we don't see how we get in.
It's right.
But we have to assume that it's quite large.
We should also probably say who we are, just because this game likes to jump around a lot with the characters that you are. So we
Yeah,
are right now
so-
controlling Vanille.
Yeah,
That's
we
right.
last left off with Vanille and Hope shooting off for the Vestige, and then fades to black, and then we're inside the Vestige. We hear some sound of them crashing and slapsticky sounds.
Yeah, yeah.
Whoa! Boing, boing, boing.
And yeah, so they come too, and they're kind of like laying in a pile on top of each other.
Yeah, I expected to see like a hole in the wall or something, but you don't really see how they entered the place, so I have no idea how big the Vestige is to a person.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
quite strange.
It's kind of just like any area in this game so far that we've come across. It's kind of like suspension of disbelief, where you're like, well, functionally, this doesn't really look like it makes a whole lot of sense, but it looks cool, and I'm just gonna, go along with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the area does look very cool. It's very gold.
They look at this area is really good. I was actually thinking while I was while we were running around as Vanille, we can kind of pan the camera around and try to see what the area looks like. Which, side note, you can't tilt the camera up and down very much at all. I've noticed.
Right.
Like you can kind of you can do it around really easily, but if you want to see over like a balcony, well, you're just shit out of luck.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, we should also mention that, before we even control the character, they crash, they come to, and there's just a little oopsie.
and then did you see Vanille after oops, I guess we're okay. She does the metal rock on fingers.
Oh yeah, like the horns.
She does the double horns.
She did that, and I'm wondering too. She did that last episode where she was like, I forget what she said specifically, but she does it almost in like a prayer hand sort of thing. Like she puts two of the horns
Yeah.
together, and I was like, dude, that is so much fucking cooler than like the
Yevon side.
hands.
Yeah.
Like she's throwing up some fucking gang signs, dude.
You gotta do that at metal shows. Or just do the double horns.
Doing that at the Zaku show tomorrow.
Yeah. So yeah, it's funny because so she does that, and she says, I guess we're all alone. And Hope's like,
What did you expect? Even soldiers know not to go near the foul sea.
because if you go near it, you may come in contact with the foul sea. And if you come in contact with the foul sea, you become a lussie, and then you're finished. He's like, that's it for you. And I like that she kind of it seems like she gets a little mad or something, and she goes, oh, what do you mean finished, huh? Like she's like, you know what I mean? Like she has a little bit of an attitude about it. But Hope's just like, oh, what were we thinking? I can't believe what we're doing. But she kind of helps him up and pats him on the head and stuff, and is like, it's all right. We're gonna make it through this. Let's just get moving, right?
Right. But yeah, this place, it's very I don't want to say gilded. It kind of feels almost like a later stage level from another Final Fantasy where everything's kind of technological but still very like almost a church like even in one end of the room it looks like there's almost like a giant organ or something.
Yeah.
It's and there's sometimes cogs in the floors and stuff.
Yeah, I like how the floors also kind of look like they have like really nice marble around like the gold edges. Like it's very ornate. Like it makes sense that it would be like a church. And there's also cool like statuary of shit that like when I looked at it, I was like, this just looks like cool shit from Twilight Princess when you're in like the Twily realm or whatever. Like it looks like Midna's cool hat.
I don't want to like
exactly.
I'm gonna do my best not to tip plot points early or anything like that, but to me when I was looking around this area, right, like right when we start, if we look behind us, like kind of like where the ship crashed at, there's like a neat little like ornate like series of not statues, they're kind of like built into the wall. They could be functional in some way, but to me they kind of like felt very like Mesoamerican or like Native American possibly. Like it kind of has like that feel.
There's a lot of that in design, and including in like Vanille's outfit and all of the
That's what I was gonna bring up. I was gonna say that like Vanille's the only character that has that kind of feel. She's the least phased by being here, and then there's a very like that kind of pattern, that kind of like pre-colonial Americas, right?
Man, what a coincidence. Anyway.
She quickly just finds something like her cool lacrosse stick.
Oh my god!
Oh yeah.
There's a not a data log, but if you highlight items in the inventory, it'll tell you a little bit about them. And so she, like you said, she gets this stick. It's her weapon called the Belladonna wand.
Yeah, she's like, check this out, and she like goes behind like a big old pedestal, like as if like, did you know that was there? Or
as though she knew it was there. Yeah.
And it's like, that doesn't look like it belongs in this environment either. So she's like, something was stashed here.
And it is the weirdest fucking weapon. Like,
yeah,
it looks like it's made of antlers, but like it looks like a lacrosse stick. But in battle, we'll find out that it has kind of a different mechanic.
Yeah, it's kind of like a
whip?
trident whip sort of thing.
So the way it colored the way I think about it, because in the description of it, it says it casts 4 lines, and I was like, it's a fishing rod. Holy shit. Like that's what it is. Cause she like whips this stick, and these like essentially 4 fishing lines with like barbs on the end come out and hook into the enemies, and she whips it around and shit. It's the wildest shit I've ever seen.
It's extremely cool.
Yeah, they're going past the realm of like believability way far with this, but it's tight, so it's like, all right,
yeah,
I'll let it slide.
The weapon designs are wild.
It's to the effect of making something cool as shit, which I am definitely here for.
Right. Yeah, and I agree, the weapon designs are wild, and I like that all the different weapons have different designs too. So
I feel like fishing with 4 lines would only be useful if they all bit at the same time.
Yeah, that's why you have to be a really good fisherman to handle it. It's all about the timing. And then Hope, I think Hope just kind of has his weapon on him.
Yeah, it's just like a fold-up boomerang.
Yeah, it's a fold-up boomerang.
It's pretty sick.
Which, like, I think is okay. I was like, all right.
You could have brought that gun.
Yeah,
No,
he just had a gun earlier.
It's,
but we do get ambushed by Pantherons, right? Really quickly, just to kind of get us.
We do.
Yeah. We actually see them in the cutscene, like as Vanille is kind of like showing off a little bit and doing her cute little like dance, holding her fishing rod. A Pantheron that's just on top of like a pillar kind of notices.
A sleepy cat.
And
a sleepy cat.
Yeah, sleepy cat boy gets the zoomies and comes right for us.
Yeah, my cat does the same thing with fishing line.
Yeah, my cat's favorite toy is like a piece of wire that has 3 little or 5 little like cardboard cylinders at the end of it. It's like $1.25.
Goose will go frickin' bananas if I'm changing my strings on my base.
Yeah. Cats love this shit.
I am always incredibly surprised how restrained our cat Shrimps is when I'm changing guitar strings. Does not give a shit about those. He'll like look at them and be like, is that a thing to play with? And then just always decide no.
Yeah, he's more of a percussion head.
That's right. Yeah.
So, he's really into
if I had some like minor fucking cymbals out, he'd be going nuts.
Tuning the drum head, he just goes fucking buck wild.
I do like Vanille's idle stance. It's very cute. She has a little bit of a boogie.
Everybody in this game has a little bit of a dance going on. She has like a side to side sway. It's really good. I agree.
Yeah. I really like controlling her because she's very bouncy and she like just kind of like it's like very bubbly and like cutesy.
She's the one who flings her arms out to her side as she's running. She's doing the anime thing, which is not good for posture or as you're running, but
yeah, it looks bad on the joints.
Imagine running that sidewalk and just punching everyone in the face as you're walking by.
She has the Yuna from 10-2 run, which we will discover eventually.
I'm excited for that. But yeah, not too much is going on in this area. There's a couple of enemies, and there's kind of a new mechanic that they like. You might not even notice it. Like, it took me a couple of times of doing this where you might see one of those like sphere treasure chest things that are kind of floating in the distance that you can go and try and grab, but you will not be able to interact with it until the enemies that are within its vicinity are taken out.
Yeah.
So I was trying to like be more stealthful because this game is obviously very much like saying, hey, you can just avoid battles entirely. Even though I don't like doing that in JRPGs, I like fighting everything. I've been trying to just do it more since it seems like that's the route that the game wants you to go. But I went up to this treasure chest and I couldn't open it. And then I started fighting these little guys. I think they're called Zwerg.
Scandroids.
Swanzigs.
Yeah. Zwanzig Scandroid.
I
thought they looked like Hula Girl gonk droids.
No, what they are, I'll tell you exactly what they are. They are hula hooping, but they are little Among Us Amoguses.
Oh, the little Amogus.
They're the little Among Us guys. And
they're like low poly Amogus, yeah.
They're very cute.
How could I have not have seen that?
I saw it and I made everyone pissed off that I called it that because they're like, well, now I can't fucking unsee that. Like,
I can't either.
They're just Among Us. I can't believe this game ripped off Among Us.
I was like, oh, they kind of look like the little droid from Star Wars Episode 4 that I don't know what it's called or how to describe it, but it beeps like this. And you know, real Episode 4 heads know the one I'm talking about.
Episode 4 head.
There's gonna be one Star Wars nerd
yeah.
who's like, you fucking idiot, that's H732 or whatever.
I know.
And that guy is me, you fucking fool.
It's the one that Chewie yells at. And then it reverses and goes down the hallway.
Oh, the mouse droid.
The mouse droid.
Chewie's the dog that's allowed to have a gun, right?
Yeah.
Frankly, I think every dog should have a gun.
Only a good boy can stop a bad guy with a gun. One thing I did notice that you probably have already been kind of like hinting at is Vanilla has 3 ATB bars.
She does.
Yeah.
She which is more than anyone else that we've been able to play as so far.
Yep. And
which means she can just whip out 3 attacks.
She can, but the one thing she cannot do right now is any kind of blitz. So she only has one command right now, and it's attack. And I mean, anybody can use items. You can always use items. So I guess there's that too. But she doesn't have like an area attack, right?
Yeah, I think items also don't, like potions don't use an ATB gauge, right?
No.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so.
Oh, and we also get black and white outfitters unlocked, I think, after our first battle here.
We do. B&W Outfitters we get.
Oh, I don't even think I noticed that.
Is that just like a new store, like addition to Unicorn Mark?
It is.
DLC or something like
and
that?
the description for it is insanely long. Let me see if I can find it online.
Oh, no.
Because, like, it's when you go into the... there actually is a real B&W Outfitters.
Yeah, they had a real good business collaboration with Final Fantasy.
Yeah, you find the FF13 one. I'm just going to read the one that's an actual store. Born and bred in the heartland of the United States, we're a brick-and-mortar store and online retailer. We stock firearms and products from many top brands on the market.
I mean, it sounds like it would be pretty fitting in this world.
Yeah, that's fair.
In the heartland of Cocoon.
Now, as for FF13...
Yeah, I mean, while you guys are looking for that, I can kind of just go over what the game is tutorializing here a little bit. It's basically just... They have a primer that comes up about aggression and preemptive strikes. Pretty much, like, self-explanatory. On your mini-map, when enemies kind of see you, there'll be like a J.J. Abrams lens flare that happens. That was very confusing to me. When I first saw it, I was like, that's got to mean something. And then I walked like 2 steps later, and I was like, oh, here's where they explain that exactly. But basically, you can sneak by enemies if you want to, and if they aren't aware of you being there and you encounter them, you get a preemptive strike. It's not just all about screaming preemptive strike. This is the functional way you do it in the game.
Yeah, do it the right way. Don't do it the way Lightning tried to.
Yeah, and there's also a couple of items that are like spoils in these battles. It's called like Fortisol. Deceptisol, and I think it talks about Deceptisol here as well, where it's basically the repel item in Pokemon, where it makes you harder to detect by enemies. So you can spray that aerosol can and use it. And then the other ones are like, they'll give you buffs before your next battle. So like the Fortisol, I think, gives you like a bunch of status things like haste and bravery or some shit. Like I forget the specifics.
It's like invisibility cream.
Yeah, it's the invisibility cream.
It's just like it's cortisol, which is like for like inflammation or whatever. And like,
yeah, a cool thing that speedrunners do, I think, is when they use their Fortisol, they can get a little extra use out of it by twisting off the cap and then filling it with water and using that a couple more times. You know, when they're on a budget.
That's good.
I know as we're exploring around this area, there's a few moments where we find out there's another ship here already that has also crashed.
There is, and I only know one other person who's been on one of these ships in this game thus far.
I've only seen Godot.
Sephiroth.
And they say that a hero can save us.
Curse is still Googling.
I really need a soundbite of just that fucking Chad Kroger song.
I'm not Google. I'm going through my I'm going through my Twitch playthrough to try to find where I went to the store at.
Oh, I probably could have just looked this up because I found it.
Oh, you found it?
It's gonna have some extra fluff on it because this is straight from the game files.
Okay, ready? City life getting you down? Answer the call of the wild. With B&W gear to protect you, a trek through the lowlands is a walk in the park. Why not leave the hustle and bustle behind and return to nature? It could be just the vacation your soul needs.
Oh, that's so good.
Incredible. Sounds almost exactly like the one that I just read from the real B&W Outfitters.
When the weight of the world has got you down and you want to end your life, you've got bills to pay, a dead-end job, and problems with the wife. Well, don't throw in the towel. There's a place right down the block. At B&W Outfitters, you can get everything you need for your...
Can I get a flaming mow there?
Hell yeah, you can get a flaming mow there. Happiness is just a B&W Outfitters away.
Well, in the next conversation, we know that Earth exists, so this is probably the same B&W Outfitters.
Yeah.
Wait, do we learn that Earth exists?
So the next conversation...
I was saying, did somebody say the word Earth?
Yes.
So by the way, while we're running around as Vanille and Hope, like you were saying, there's several battles. We're kind of like traversing over a lot of the debris and like the areas and stuff. So there is like a section here, right? And then, yeah, we move on.
But eventually Hope is like, aren't you scared?
Yeah, we just kind of hit a cutscene trigger. Not my favorite thing in games. I think I talked about it a lot in the Final Fantasy X season where I wanted to explore more, and then I'm like, whoops, hit a cutscene, and now I can't come back here until the end of the game, apparently.
Okay, it triggers when you're approaching what looks like the end of the Sanctarium where the door is kind of glowing red.
Yeah.
We can't progress past that point, but we trigger a little cutscene, and like Hope says, "Aren't you scared?" And Vanilla's like, "Oh, not so much."
Yeah.
And she and Hope's like, "You really don't get it." And then she's like, kind of just really has to like.
Yeah, she's like.
Hope thinks that she's being really naive, but like, no, you don't get like that. She just kind of just basic exposition.
No, you listen to me. Yeah, exposition dump. Let's go.
Pulse Vestige and Lissy are bad news. That's why Cocoon kicked them out. Live too close to the Falsi, one-way ticket to Pulse. That's the purge in a nutshell.
And Hope says that they catch us here, they'll purge us too. And then Vanilla's just like, "What's your problem?"
She says, she goes, "What's your problem?"
It's funny too because like when I heard that, I'm like, "Yeah, get him! Like take him down a peg or two." And then like Alex, you pointed out to me, you're like, "Yeah, his mom like just died," and I was like,
"Well, yeah." You know, I was thinking about the thing is. And I need everybody who's listening to the podcast right now to realize that I have not played Lightning Returns, okay? I know that shit goes fucking wild in that one. However, as somebody who's only played 1 and 2, the first time I played this game, I was like, God, I cannot fucking stand Hope. I fucking hate him so much. And every subsequent playthrough, I've been like, he is a fantastic character because this is exactly how I would be acting at his age. I'd be like, we're gonna fucking die. Like, I'm so fucking freaked out right now. And I was like,
of course.
No, actually, scary. He's the most relatable character. Like, this is terrifying. Truly.
Yeah, he's the Shaggy Doo in this thing where, like, you make fun of him for being, like, the kind of scary guy. Like, no, he's smart not to go into that.
Yeah, he's the one rational character.
He's the fucking Squidward. He's the Squidward. You're like, I love SpongeBob and Patrick, but if they were my fucking neighbors or my coworkers, I'd want to fucking throttle their, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Right.
Oh, I was thinking of Cabin in the Woods, the one guy who's just so stoned that the
shit doesn't work on him.
I would go ahead and not read the Latin or whatever. Like,
Yeah. Why would we split up, guys?
But yeah, so she gives him a hug and it says, "We'll be okay. Calm down."
Yeah. After she says, "What's your problem?" He says,
What's my... Pulse is hell on Earth.
Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah.
Hell on Earth.
Oh, you're right. They say Earth. Holy shit. Earth
Heaven on
exists.
Earth, hell on wheels. Let's go.
Heaven or hell, let's rock.
But yeah, she hugs him and kind of comforts him and
or tries to,
yeah, and he kind of just shrugs her off and says like, "Get off me," you know, like
Yeah.
it doesn't sound like there's a lot behind that, you know. I think he like definitely wants some affection, but he's kind of just like, you know, he's obviously
she's being a little smothery.
Yeah, he's in no mood right now.
Maybe some toxic positivity.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, we just like my mom just died and we just like stole a ship and are like going straight to like the thing I do not want to be anywhere near right now, the cause of all our problems.
Yeah,
Yep.
and I get it too. He kind of like
Because of your peer pressure.
Yeah.
There's actually a lot in this episode, a lot of kind of like exposition dumping done in like an elegant way where it's characters just interacting with each other, but summing things up. And he kind of goes into details about like what he was doing before this that kind of puts this into perspective as well,
Right,
where you're like,
right.
oh, okay, I can understand why he's so standoffish and wants nothing to do with any of this, because he's just, you know, a very
He's a
much so
victim
a
of
victim of
circumstance.
circumstance. Yeah.
Yeah.
But this scene is interrupted by the best hero that we've met so far. And he's saying, "Sarah, can you hear me? Where are you?"
Fucking hear Snow's voice booming down the hallways.
Yeah. Hope recognizes the voice and is not too happy to be here.
Oh, he's not pleased. He's not pleased hearing that voice.
Yeah.
But we do get a scene change, and now we are somewhere else in the Vestige, I assume, with Snow.
With Snow.
Yep, we play
and
Snow.
If you're a fan of Euclideanness, then I got bad news for you, because this is a little non-Euclidean.
This is a cloister, baby.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
a cloister from FF10. That's what we're in.
Yeah.
Except the puzzle is that we need to turn on a switch.
Thank God.
You hit one button. It's the same cloister of trials I have every night before going to bed, which is turning off a light switch.
I like at one end of this room, there's like what to me looks like a much smaller version of the Vestige. Like, I don't know if it looks kind of like a fal'Cie or like a weird angel
yeah.
or something.
It has big ol' giant nipples.
It has big wheel nipples. Yeah. And it's just hanging out.
It's the vestigial vestige.
Yeah, the vestigial vestige. We're 2 layers deep. But there's really not a lot here, right? Like, we just run around. I think there's like an item or two. There's like some gill.
There's like 2
get.
paths behind us that we can go to. One of them I think has a treasure. The other one has like nothing. The treasure isn't super like remarkable. It's just like 2 potions. But
we change scenes to Snow twice, and every time if you turn 180 degrees, there's an item right behind you.
Yeah,
I think.
Yeah. This game does that a lot, by the way. That's a good thing to keep track of.
yeah, we can see down like staircases that lead to nowhere, and then like much lower we see more part of the structure, which pretty much immediately we find out once Snow hits the switch or whatever, it kind of rearranges everything and makes it more of a path for us.
Right.
Yeah, like completes like a little weird puzzle thing. It's pretty cool. They're all kind of floating, but I love that once they're all connected, the entire floor glows red.
It does for just a
To kind
moment.
of show you this one piece. It's very cool visual. And then a gate, I think, with like a giant like weird symbol, like a big tribal tattoo at the other end, where the smaller vestige is, turns on. And I think that's like where a lift is enabled or something like that.
A lift is enabled and it comes down to Snow. Yeah, and then you get on it as Snow.
Yeah.
Yeah, the puzzle aspect of this is that, like I was saying earlier with the treasure chest, you can't interact with the switch until you kill the 2 Pantherons that are right there.
Sure, yeah.
But before we see Snow go to the lift, we do get another cutaway now to Lightning and Saz, who are somehow here as well.
The Dream Team.
Fuck yeah, dude.
So they somehow made it here. I was about to mention also last episode, why did they have to jump off of the bridge?
The lift,
sky bridge? Why couldn't they just like take the bridge down? Because it can pretty much fly anyway, right?
Yeah. Lightning does things her own way, all right?
Speaking of her doing things her own way, they're clearly like locked into like whatever storage container ass place that they're in, and there's that red glowing door.
Oh, maybe they took the front door. Maybe that's how they got in.
I was going to say they probably are like kind of still on the outside and not in the main body of the Vestige. And that like red door is is preventing them from getting in, right? And she's like attacking it with her sword.
Yeah, she's doing things her own way, and she has only one way, which is attack the shit out of it. She's just like whipping the fucking door with her like cool gun sword thing.
Saz is just like sitting at the side, and he's just like, you're not gonna get it done that way.
Yeah, he's like still not budging, huh? Like,
yeah.
I think the door is winning.
Oh my god, so good. I love how sassy he is. He fucking rules.
And then this scene happens, and like, I love FF13, but I will say that I'm not sure. I'm not sure about this one. Because, so Lightning says, like she's basically having a moment of doubt. She stops attacking the door, and she says, this is my fault. Like, whatever's happening, like, this is, I did this. And then she says, cover your ears to Saz. And Saz is like, oh shit, she's going to use a bomb or something. She's going to use like a blast charge.
Blast charge, dude.
Yeah, and so he like runs away from where she is, right? And like, he kneels down and covers his ears and like, protects his head because he thinks she's getting ready to set off like a bomb.
Yeah.
And she like goes up to the door and puts her hand on it and very softly says, I'm sorry. And the door opens for her, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which, the only reason I have an issue with that is that I don't know about that, because I think the Fal'Cie is controlling the vestige, not Sarah.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't like, as we were like playing through this, as I was playing through this for the first time, I was just like, that's fucking weird. But I think it's alluding to the fact that Sarah, who we're about to meet, is the one keeping the door closed. Yeah. I do see what you're saying, Curtis, where it's like it should be the Fal'Cie. And
well, no, I think that it is saying that Sarah should be keeping the door closed or whatever. But I'm like, but Sarah's just a puppet of that Fal'Cie. She doesn't have any power here. Why would she be able to do that?
Maybe we'll find out later that the Fal'Cie has some sort of motives as well to maybe let us in.
That's kind of what I was expecting, is like this will make more sense in context and not be clunky like down the road.
Sure.
Obviously,
sure.
I don't have as much information on the game that you do, Curtis, but
next episode I'll
the data log is going to explain in stunning detail.
You know what? It
why
probably
this is
does.
Good as hell and smart.
It probably does, actually.
Maybe it was just coincidence. Maybe they just unlocked it.
Yeah, maybe she did.
Maybe Snowed unlocked it.
She did 999 damage to it, and then her just putting her hand up to it was the final
one last
point of
HP.
damage.
It's the Elden Ring door. It's that wall in Elden Ring.
Yeah, in the volcano manner that everyone went nuts over. They're like, are you fucking kidding me? If you're not familiar with what we're talking about, in Elden Ring, there was one wall that like the developers, I think, just like, it was probably an old mechanic that they abandoned, but someone found out if you hit the door like just a wall enough times with like a weapon, and when I say enough times, I mean like 90 times or something, the wall just breaks and then becomes a doorway. So then it's like, oh great, this enormous game, now I have to hit every fucking wall like 90 to 100 times to see if it has something behind it.
Incredible.
But yeah, Sal's like, what? How do you open it? And then she just ignores him and keeps going.
I love how many times she just ignores Saz.
Yeah, it's like, after you.
I want to be Lightning. I want to, like, anytime I do something, like, I fix someone's computer and they're like, whoa, how'd you do that? And I just fucking walk away.
Yeah.
I have to be like, here's a bunch of words that you don't understand. And you're going to politely say, like, oh, it makes sense or something. It's like, we don't have to do this. Like, just come on.
I love all of his asides because, yeah, I think that's actually where we learn about shrouds.
This is where we learn about shrouds, yeah.
Right,
yeah.
Technically. But, yeah, like, all of his asides, if you decide not to, like, engage with things, he says things like, don't scare easy, do you? Or like, there you go, stomping off on your own again.
Yep.
And just little things like that.
I do like the way that like dialogue is delivered between characters as they're walking around together. It's pretty cool.
I'm noticing while I'm watching back just the tutorial part where it has like a 3-page thing about, the shrouds and the Fortisol and the Aegisol and whatever. I like that the characters are still very much in motion. This isn't just like a paused game. Like Lightning is like shifting her weight to like her other leg and putting her arm on the on her other hip and stuff. So it's like, as this is all going down, the characters are just standing there like fucking Mario falling asleep in Mario 64.
And then so there's a lot of different enemies here, right, that we can kind of go through.
Yeah, there's a lot more. I forget what we fight.
We fight a Myrmidon again.
Yeah.
Which you can go back to episode 1. Remember that guy?
Yeah, the big weird, looks like it has 3 legs, but actually has 4.
The Halo Hunter.
Yeah. There's more Zwergs around, the little Among-Os.
God, I love
There's
this
so many
much.
Among-Os.
It's getting extremely sus in this.
Do we describe what the different shrouds do?
Oh yeah, what's the difference between them?
So, okay. So there's, in this game, we'll have more control over this, but there are two different kinds of buffs. There are, like, I guess physical and magical buffs, maybe is a good way to describe it. And so we have two different kinds of aerosols or shrouds. One that applies all magical buffs to all your characters before the battle begins. So you just go in and you're just throwing all kinds of like high damaging magic and you're, have shell on, etc. And then the same thing for like the other one has like physical. You have like higher attack. You can defend against moves better. And then there's one called Deceptisol, which when you use that, enemies can no longer detect you when you're running around. So if you run into an enemy while you have a Deceptisol on, you just get a preemptive strike.
Which I did accidentally immediately in the tutorial because my brain first went to like, oh, I need to hoard this until the end of the game and then be like, oh shit, I have 17 of these.
So I will say this in my experience, and again, your experience may change, right? This is a good game to actually hoard those in because some
Curtis
battles,
right now what I'm hearing Curtis say is like this joke tweet that I saw recently where it's like, did you know that 95% of all gamblers like quit gambling just before they hit it big? Keep on gambling, everyone. Like, that's what I'm hearing right now. Like, I don't need you to enable this. But yeah, I was like, okay, the game is obviously tutorializing me. I'm gonna just go through it for the due diligence of the show. Yeah. I'm gonna use the Deceptisol and see how it works and stuff. And I walked by and the Pantherons didn't notice me, and I accidentally hit left a little bit and just walked into it, and I was like, oh fuck, well I gotta fight them now anyway.
There are more than enough in the game to get you through it, but there's not like an infinite amount, and some of the battles are really fucking hard, and so sometimes using that preemptive to get like one of the enemies out of the way makes a big difference. So like sometimes like in later chapters when we're in like chapter like 7 or 8 or something like that, there may be like a battle that you're just having a fuck of a time with. Like I can't beat this battle, it's just a terrible setup. You can throw a Deceptisol on and maybe some of the other shrouds and run into it and just fucking wipe the floor with that battle and kind of get past it. So in some way I kind of see them as like a skip button for battles that you're especially having difficulty with.
It's a repel, like in Pokemon.
Yeah, it's like a repel in Pokemon. But I mean, honestly, the Deceptisol I think is not just good for avoiding battles. I actually think it's an incredible offensive tool because you start with a preemptive strike. So you just start and everything is in stagger. Yeah. And so like you can usually like wipe one or two of the enemies out, even if you're having issues with them, before the enemies even get their first turn. So like it's a very, very strong tool. And I think that's why there's such a limited amount and they don't really give them out. They give you a bunch in this chapter and then not again. Nice. Like you'll find one here and there. Again, not a big deal if you've already used one. That you'll be fine. Like there's more than enough to cover your butt.
I can also say that while I was just kind of like checking around with Fortisol, you can actually like when you're trying to select it from just the overworld menu, it will tell you exactly what it does at the top. And for Fortisol, it casts Bravery, Faith, and Haste all at the start of the battle.
Wow.
Pretty much only one of those I have any kind of familiarity with in terms of Final Fantasy.
Bravery and Faith are attack up and magic attack up, respectively.
Nice, makes sense.
It's cheer.
Yeah, it's cheer.
Yeah, so I really like this system. I'm excited to experience more of it.
Yeah, I always forget that the shrouds exist until I'm getting pissed off at a battle. That I'm just like, I've died twice to this one encounter, and I go, oh yeah, shrouds are a thing. Okay, let me just fucking wipe the floor with this battle real quick.
Yeah,
it's cool they took some mechanics from in battle and kind of like pulled them out of battle a little bit, so you can kind of engage with enemies differently, which is...
The shrouds are like a plunger. You don't really need them until you fucking need them. And then you're like, oh, thank God I have that.
Neither of you have died yet, have you?
I have not.
No.
Both in this game and in real life.
Oh, wow.
I haven't, so that's pretty cool.
God gamer.
I'm going to try and keep that going for another couple of years, I think.
A couple of years.
Yeah, I mean, all bets are off, dude. 2022, God.
That's fair. So I'll just go ahead and bring it up now or whatever, just in case somebody does die. This game is very forgiving with death. when you die in this game,
You mentioned that you get to keep all of your XP, right?
you keep everything, and you just start a couple of steps away from the battle you just
Right.
did.
Oh,
So
that's
like,
You can also pause and just retry the battle in
Yep.
the middle of battle too. So if you're
Yep.
like, oh, this isn't going well, let me try this again.
you just retry.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, so it's super handy in that way, and it doesn't like punish you, and like because like a lot of times for some of the bosses, and especially when we get to the Eidolons, they'll kind of require certain setups, and you may get into the battle and realize that you don't have that setup, or you didn't set your people up right, and so it's just you just go ahead and retry, just hit retry, and then do your menuing, and then go back into the fight. Good way to do it.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
But if we kind of make our way down this particular hallway and a couple of battles, again, there's the Miradon or whatever the thing's name is, and then eventually we get down to a battle that is just a Miradon and a Pantheron. But once we get past that, there's a little cutscene that kind of starts where, Lightning is just full steam ahead and Saz is not too far off behind her.
Oh, I love this cutscene.
Says,
He's just talking to himself, really, right?
yeah.
Kinda.
I think
mean,
he's like
He's
talking-
trying to make conversation with Lightning, but it's Lightning, so yes, he is just talking to himself.
yeah, I feel like he's kind of talking to himself and meaning for her to hear what he's saying. You know what I mean?
If those things are still around, might be some soldiers trapped in here too. Except they'd probably be l'Cie by now. Huh? Not even human anymore. Just post l'Cie. Enemies of Cocoon. Can't show them any mercy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like further just driving home this like terrifying l'Cie thing, right?
Mhm.
Like, oh my gosh, what is a l'Cie? Who is that?
Mhm.
You know? Because we know that everybody's being purged because of these creatures or whatever
Yeah.
this is, right? So like they're a big deal.
It's like a plague or something.
And then we get Snow Part 2, where Snow runs
Back
around
to-
and touches a button.
Yeah, I forgot this area is actually called House of Stairs.
Jump around. Jump.
It's the boring
Jump up.
sequel to House of Leaves.
Oh, very
They
good.
find a labyrinth, but it's just a bunch of stairs.
And then after that,
This is when he actually like turns on the lift, right?
that's where he turns on the lift and he jumps on it. And he like yells out, he's like,
Jump on it. Jump
all
on
right, baby, your hero's on the way.
I love this line so much.
Hang on, baby.
Hang on, baby.
I-
Our hero's on the way. And then we flash back to
I
Vanille
hate
and
Snow so
Hope.
much.
And we hear it echoing like almost like through like the vents or something.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like
yeah,
they're
oh, yeah.
overhearing him say that as he's saying it. And I love that just because we hear the line twice. And it's like,
Yeah.
it's already like, it's Snow. So it's kind of like his whole hero complex thing and him being like, your hero's on the way. And then hearing it exactly the same. It's just that's
But with reverb on it.
that's always funny to me because it's like in Futurama when they had when Bender had to like be a wrestler or whatever and he had to fight a giant like wrestler and had to take a dive or whatever. The robot comes out and he's like,
Oh,
and Bender
yeah.
just goes, see you at the fight. And then like it goes to a commercial and then it comes back and he goes, so then I said, see you at the fight. And it's like the
Yeah.
same vocal sample. And that shit is always funny to me.
And I have like on my screen right now, I have a picture of Hope who looks exactly like I look whenever I hear Snow talking. He's just pissed as shit. He can hear Snow being like, "Oh, your hero's coming," and he's like, "You son of a bitch, you
Yeah.
motherfucker."
It sounds like he's in the shower.
Yeah. And Vanille says he's coming our way. And Hope's like, yeah, but what am I gonna do? Nothing I say is gonna change anything, like what should I do? And she's like encouraging him.
But she says like, yeah, we could just run away.
I love this thing that Vanille has about like just running away or whatever, because it seems like such a weird option in a video game, right? Like, because like I've played many a JRPG and like people always like rise to meet a challenge that's like their thing, or they're unable to and they have to like be crafty and plot around it. But I love like Vanille's thing of just like, let's just run away, let's just not deal with it. And like when Hope's like really fucked up, she's like, deal with it later.
It's real unlike a JRPG to just let you run away from stuff. One kind of cool thing that I noticed in the cutscene is that as like this is all happening and Hope hears Snow and gets pissed off and stuff, we see kind of in the distance there's these like mechanisms that are glowing and there's like energy flowing through it, and it pulls one of the staircases like from the lower level up. So it's like,
Yeah, that might be like something with Snow switching things.
yeah,
on
so
and
when
off.
Snow hit the switch, that activated everything, and it also worked in the lower level so that Hope and Vanille
Yes.
could go through. So that's just a little, set dressing that's like it makes sense in the game why we couldn't proceed forward with them instead of just being like, here's a cutscene, here's a cutscene, here's a cutscene. You know, it's like
I agree.
Not necessary really, but I think that's a nice touch.
I agree.
Yeah, I like that these kind of. I mean, it has happened the whole last chapter where there's like all these concurrent events, and like now that the characters are kind of starting to kind of converge.
Yeah, they're all near each other.
The actions are now starting to kind of affect each other, and it's pretty cool.
I agree. Now,
I also love that even though this, like, I actually mentioned this when you were streaming that I think I read that the game designers, like, they actually divided up the art department. Basically had different people designing each section, so each kind of area had its own like personality.
Yeah,
and I think it really shows, like, no shared assets or anything. But I love that even though like there's such a really nice design language in this area, like each room kind of has a very specific kind of vibe to it, like with lighting and framing and stuff. Like the one with the organ at the end, the one with the big vestige at the end.
And like,
I feel like it'd be really easy to like get things very messy and look very samey.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like some of the cloisters or whatever. But this one, they do a really good job at making it seem very clear that we're somewhere new when we go to a new room.
Yeah, it's really an interesting way to design something like this.
Now, at the risk of derailing the podcast too much, I know that usually we wait for like a good moment, but I have to poop so bad. So I'm wondering if maybe we should go ahead and take our break now.
You got to offload your data logs.
I got to go offload some data logs. I got to do a data dump, and then we can pick that back up afterwards.
That sounds good to me.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'll see you afterwards.
Let's purge.
So we are back to Vanille and Hope.
Yeah, they just got to a cool new area.
Yep.
And Hope is in awe because, like, again, this place I think has like another vestige looking thing in it too, right? Or not a vestige. There's like another just giant like.
There's these weird.
There's a lot of cool.
I don't know what they're supposed
here.
to be. They're like almost humanish. Like they're almost. They almost look like they're symbols representing like a sentient creature, but it's hard to say.
This actually reminded me because when we were on the Trustway, every column I noticed had like almost like some sort of god-looking like engraving on it or something like that. Which I'm like curious if we'll find out if that like corresponds to like a summon or even a fal'Cie later. If this,
yeah, the relationship between like the religious and secular in Final Fantasy 13 is really weird. Like, where it seems like all the people of the world lead incredibly secular lives, but all the motions, all the cogs that control the world are very like gods and goddesses and like these cosmic entities that are moving things, right? It's very weird.
But as we come into like an opening, the center of this room, things get real creepy real fast, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
At the like at different ends of the room, there are like these kind of almost like laser gates, and we start hearing these horrible like cries and moans coming down the hallways, and we see these horrible, basically like the Death Eaters or whatever from like Zelda, right? Or not Death Eaters.
Are those the creepy things in the well?
I'm trying to think of like the actual like zombie creatures.
Oh, the Redeads.
The Redeads. They look like Redeads from Zelda.
Yeah, they move in a very Silent Hill type way as well. We kind of see them coming towards us, and it's very like framey and twitchy, and it's I love that. That's always, I love when horror shit does that.
Or Curse will probably know they look a lot like some of the horrible black monsters from Resident Evil 7.
The
mold.
Horrible.
The leech monsters.
They kind of look like the mold. They're a little bit,
the mold.
The way they kind of move and just kind of slump around and kind of.
They look like PlayStation 3 renderings of putrid moldy man from Earthbound.
It's like their bones are made of cooked noodles.
Well, it's really weird because like whenever I see these creatures, especially during this scene, right, I think it's supposed to be very horrific, but like Final Fantasy is not really a horror franchise, and so the scene is not like scary in that like visceral way, right? No. Even though the creatures have all of the signs, they have like they checkmark all the boxes, right, for like actual horror game creatures, but you're like in a very large area, your characters are empowered with these like fantastic weapons, and so it's not like terrifying, But it's weird how close to actual horror game like creatures these are.
There's something like if the closer to human it is, it's like it reaches that kind of uncanny thing, but it's so far beyond kind of what a human looks like that it doesn't really seem scary anymore. It just looks like a monster.
Yeah.
Instead of like a horrible body horror thing, which I think is technically what which Vanille mentions that these are.
Yeah.
What are they?
See, Lassie, you failed. This is what happens when Lassie don't complete the focus the Fal'Cie gave him.
Yeah, so...
This is what happens when you find a stranger in the Alps as a Lassie.
Yeah.
Their design does look very much almost like kind of tree rooty, the way kind of things kind of form around them. There's like a giant red eye in the middle, but if you look closely, they actually have like some human face kind of
I never noticed until this time through that they retain like their human face, and it's just barely not covered up by this like black bark or whatever, this like weird skin that's on the outside.
Almost looks like hands, like it. So like at their shoulders, it's very elongated, and they have like Resident Evil like 2 Birkin fucking claws.
Yeah.
But it almost looks like their human hands are like covering their face, like in agony. Sort of.
I can see
like,
that. Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's almost like they're kind of a host for like a parasite or something.
It's super cool.
It's a cool concept.
I like how Curtis says that Final Fantasy games are not horror games, but I've gotten into a battle with a Tonberry before, so I don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
I'll let you know, I just did the Tonberry fight in Final Fantasy VII Remake. Love it. Love that shit.
Really,
that was
really
so
good.
funny. They're like, get his ass.
So anyway, as these horrible monsters are coming towards us and like encircling us, we get a hero to save the day. Snow just fucking runs in and like football tackles like one of them, and then
some butt rock starts.
Yeah, the Snow's theme starts, which I fucking love. Because it really solidifies this as the most butt rock of all Final Fantasies, and I mean that in the most positive, glowing way I could possibly ever.
Even more than Dirge?
Even more than Dirge, I would say. Dirge is a little bit more broody. I would say Dirge is more nu metal. This is straight butt rock. This is like perfect.
Yeah.
But yeah, he jumps in and says, "Let's even these odds," and like starts like kind of blocking these Seath from Hope and Vanille.
Yeah.
The odds are really not even because it's 3 against like 7 or 8.
Yeah.
But it's a cool scene.
I guess we probably kind of talked about it a little bit, but like just for the listener, especially if you haven't played these games before, like Hope and Vanille are probably in their like mid-teens, right?
Yeah, I think
And Snow's probably like
because of his size
20s.
and his size of his feet, given Nomura standards, he's probably like 13.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
and
like,
Vanille is 19 years old according to the wiki, which I stopped reading immediately after that because if you don't, I think there's some spoiler stuff maybe.
okay. Yeah, so like this kind of like plays as Snow is protecting the kids, right?
Yeah.
He's 21, I think.
Yeah. So
he's 21.
Yeah. So
we had to do a lot of age checking in this chapter to see how much we had to cancel with it.
That's right. But yeah, so we get into a fight. We control Snow in this one. Always throw hand grenade as Snow. It's the best move.
Of course.
It's incredible. Yeah. And after the fight,
always be chucking hand grenade.
Oh, ABC, always be chucking.
To Snow's credit, he is like, you guys should not be here.
Yeah.
And Hope is like, looks like he's about to light him the fuck up, you know what I mean? And be like, you son of a bitch. Yeah, and like Vanille sees like the tension or whatever that like is kind of like building, and she just kind of like nervously smiles and laughs a little bit. And he's like, all right, I tell you what, find somewhere to hide. I'm going to go get my fiance, and then on the way out, we'll pick you back up, and we're all going to leave here, right?
Yeah.
And so he's like...
Well, he doesn't say fiance, yeah, he just says Sarah. And
once
then
I find Sarah, we'll all leave together.
And then Vanille asks, like, wait, who is Sarah? And then Snow says, my wife.
My wife. I was laughing so hard. I fucking... Borat has just broken my brain. I cannot... Even on my fucking wedding day, I am going to be thinking, my wife.
Like Borat on your wedding day.
I do like that as he's like talking about this great plan that he has of them hiding, here's a whistle. If there's a war, blow it and I'll come running. He says to them, you'll be home before dinner, like just nothing but like positive attitude from this dipshit, and like I can't help but like him. I know that that's probably a bad take and maybe
He's
will
kind
age
of-
poorly, but like he's just a himbo. He's just like a well-meaning himbo.
Sure.
Yeah,
sure.
he means well, but he does seem a little reckless, maybe.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Which is his downfall. But yeah,
My wife.
Who's Sarah?
My wife. Future wife, that is. She's a Pulse Vestige.
No.
And
And
Vanilla's
Vanilla's like,
oh,
oh,
no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
oh no,
Yeah, she realizes what that means.
she's here somewhere along with that Falsey. I've got to find her and set her free. And Hope just fucking explodes.
Hope is like, why don't you see some other women instead? Just like,
Hey,
What's wrong with you? Why do you want to help Lassie? They're the enemy. How can you save Lassie? You're not... That's insane!
Probably. But I gotta do something, right?
Yeah.
again, himbo excellence. That's the nuke the whales of this game. Like, you gotta do something. Like,
You gotta nuke someone.
well, I gotta do something, you know?
Yeah.
Love it. No notes.
And like, and you know, the thing is that like, we're getting the story from all sides, you know what I mean? So I'm like very much like with Hope here, where I'm like, you fucking piece of shit. Literally because of your actions, my mom just died because of the way that you're acting right this second.
yeah, of course.
and now
Absolutely.
you're probably endangering all of us by getting your
Yeah.
wife out of here.
Yeah. But yeah, so Snow walks away. He's kind of like jogs off, right? Hope has a little breakdown.
He's
where
doing his little like doing the crosswalk as it's like blinking kind of jog.
Yeah, he is, yeah. A little scoot. Yeah, Hope breaks down and he's like, I can't believe this is happening. Like, why is this happening to me?
It's been a bad day.
It's been a really bad day for Hope. And he explains that like he and his mom were just minding their own business in the town of like Bodum, I guess is where they found the Vestige. And he's like, yeah, they found that thing, and then everyone who was in town had to get purged. He's like, we didn't do anything. They just took us and threw us on a train, and that was the end. And so, like, you really feel for him because, like,
Yeah,
he
that
doesn't
sucks.
deserve to be here.
There's just too many instances of being in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Right.
He still blames Snow.
yeah, gotta
Yeah.
blame someone.
You gotta blame someone.
But in the midst of this, like Snow, as we cut it back away, like Snow's like realizing, I probably shouldn't leave him alone.
Yeah, he
You shouldn't just
realizes always
leave two
walking. He's like,
children.
nah. Yeah.
Yeah,
But he runs back for them.
awkwardly, like, hey again.
Yeah, he says that.
And I love Vanille's just like, hey, like just kind of dismissive, kind of just like, okay, like, but politely being like, hello.
Yeah, and she picks Hope up from the ground, right, and says like, "Let's go with him. You've got to talk to him about it, or you're gonna regret it forever."
Yeah.
And so she kind of, and he's like looking at her, and like, so I like who Vidil is to Hope right now. Like, it's literally all he has to go on, right? Like, this is the only person he knows in the entire world now, essentially. You know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
he's not in the town that he's from. He's out in this weird area. There's only one person who's talking to him, and she's just like, "No, it's fine. Like, just follow me. We're gonna go with him." And he's like, oh, "Okay."
It's like, it's fine. I'm your mom now.
Yeah, essentially.
I like how
And then they all run off together.
all of Snow's motivation is pretty much can be summed up in that like one post that is just like, my dick has led me places I wouldn't go with a gun. Like, I just want the render of Snow, like just the default like transparent background of Snow just like smiling and stuff with that caption under it.
I can get you that.
Yeah.
Then we're back to,
Lightning and Saz.
but Saz is like, what's gotten into you, soldier?
Yeah. He's like, what's eating you? What's going on? And she's like,
Yeah, I thought you were here to fight. Like,
My sister.
my sister. And she says her sister is a Lassie, right? And,
oh shit! Snow's wife is a Lassie.
Yeah, Snow's wife is a Lassie.
yeah,
what are
what
the
a
odds?
coincidence, dude. Holy shit.
Oh my
There's
gosh.
two of them here?
This place is loaded with Lassie.
And Saz hears that, and he's like, "Holy shit! Oh no!" And he says, "Is she still ... And I think the implication is like, is she still a person or is she a Seath?
Yeah, did she become a
Right.
Seath yet? And he asks,
Yeah.
what was her focus, capital F?
And this is the first time we've heard focus, right?
Yeah.
I think Vanille mentioned it when we see the Seath, like the things that don't complete their focus.
That's
Yeah,
right.
so-
That's right.
exactly.
So we've heard focus twice in these last two cutscenes.
Right. And he
yeah,
says
and he
that,
goes
like,
on and kind of explains what a focus is, like, with, again, subtle exposition, I guess. When she became a Lassie, what did the Falsey order her to do?
Right.
Like an assignment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, was it communications? Was it music theory? Was it theater minor?
Was it literature theory?
Well, he says it wasn't anything like to destroy Cocoon, was it? Right, and she doesn't know what to say to that.
She just says, "I didn't ask."
Didn't ask.
Yeah.
And then while they're talking, you see like a door essentially open, like a gate opens, right? And we see some more Seath. And Saz says a Lassie who doesn't fulfill her focus turns into one of those because they're looking at the Seath, right?
Yeah, and he's saying that there's like no way to turn them back.
What I'm saying is, if your sister's gone that far, I mean, she might still. How can I? Oh, man.
He's trying not to like just come out and say it, even though she immediately knows. Like, just fucking say it. Any Lassie, anyone who might ever become Lassie should be wiped off the face of Cocoon.
Yeah, he says
because they're a liability, basically. Right?
He says, "Don't make her suffer."
Yeah, well, he says that like she will live her life as a fal'Cie slave. Like even if she completes her focus, like there's no getting out of this.
Right.
He's trying to say it politely and like delicately, obviously, but Lightning is not happy, and she's like, yeah. So what? You just want to fucking wipe them all off the face of the planet? She like punches him a little bit too, and like pushes him back.
Yeah. And she says afterwards, she's like, it's people like you who started the purge in the first place.
Yeah.
Which is like, ooh, damn, get him, Lightning.
Yeah.
But like, you know, you sympathize with Saz as well, because he's like, look, I mean, it doesn't matter. She's cursed forever. Like, whether she succeeds in the focus or not, like, she'll never come back to being like a normal human.
You like to see it from
again.
all sides, you know? the biggest brain political affiliation is seeing it from all sides.
I'm already seeing some kind of like tonal similarities to like 10 with like fate and just like fulfilling like
absolutely
right
with
right.
Yuna and like the final summoning like kind of thing. It's
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Man, this is rough. There's like we're damned if you do, damned if you don't, aren't we? Yeah.
Yeah.
And now we are in an area called the ambulatory.
God, stupid words.
Which
again,
love to
this
ambulate.
is probably a real word.
Which just means a hallway. It's just an area for walking.
Ain't that FF13?
Yeah, this whole game's a damn ambulatory.
I feel like we can end on that. That's pretty good.
All that preambule.
So
we fight some ghouls. Yeah.
there's
they're called, I think, ghasts, right? When we fight them.
There's some that are called ghouls. I think the bigger ones are called.
Yeah, we have not fought a ghast yet.
Which is kind of a brute.
Apologies. Yeah, ghoul.
So it doesn't tell us directly that this is the case with these Seath or whatever. We know, okay, so in the data logs, so I'm going to go back to the data logs here. At this point, you can look into several different data logs about the history of a lot of these places. And there's one that tells you about the Vestige and tells you about the scene when they find the Vestige now. You can kind of like read a little bit about it being discovered, right? And so it's discovered essentially by PSICOM is kind of what they say. It was discovered and then PSICOM is sent in to deal with it. And then realizing that there is a fal'Cie inside the Vestige, the Sanctuary had it sealed off with PSICOM soldiers still inside, right?
Oh.
So like several of the soldiers were still inside when it was sealed off. Presumably they have also become Lassie and then Seath as well, which is why there are the what are the dogs called? The Pantherons. That's why like Pantherons are here, even though we know that they're like the tools of PSICOM. Like, why would they be locked in here? Is because PSICOM was locked in here. So like, I think it's very interesting that like not only are there like these like Seath wandering around, it's very, very likely that many of these Seath that we're destroying are former PSICOM units that just found this like 13 days ago.
Woof.
Yeah, and Saz kind of alluded to that earlier when we were first walking in. He's like, well, there's probably some soldiers in here still.
Yeah. Just not.
And, here they are.
But what about the little Zwergs?
Yeah.
Who are the Zwergs, though? Who are the Mungas?
Yeah, where did the Among Us come from? Where did the Amogus come from? But anyway, I just thought that was kind of a cool little thing.
Yeah, that's good too. Because I mean, when I first, with all of this just coming rapid fire at me, I'm like, I feel bad that like, even though I've been trying to avoid, like the game is trying to incentivize me avoiding conflict, and I still am just fighting everything I can. I was like, I kind of feel bad fighting these things because they were once human, and like who knows, like
fuck them.
But now I'm just like, oh yeah, it's still, I would have been fighting them if they were still human anyway. Like
Yeah.
that's how I sleep at night.
Now they're just zombie cops.
Which yeah. As we defeat them, did you notice that they drop tears?
I did, yeah. It's very sad.
Seeth tears.
Or tears
Tasty,
of
tasty
frustration.
tears.
Or are they like tears of frustration and tears of like fucking anguish or some shit? It's all like real rough shit that you get from them.
Oh yeah.
I don't want to reach too much with it, but it does give like some idea that there's some like
It says a pebble-sized shard of a crystal gradually rumbling to ashen sand.
ash. That's Dark Souls. That's a Dark Souls word.
Yeah, that's the word that Dark Souls invented.
It doesn't necessarily make me feel like they are sentient.
Yeah, but
it
there's
does
still
make
some
me feel like
semblance of humanity within them.
yeah, because of that like sadness kind of aspect to them. Yeah,
That's a bummer.
yeah. This game's a bit of a bummer. It's kind of a downer. I'm not gonna lie.
I mean, I think a lot of Final Fantasy are pretty bummery.
Oh yeah, the more subtextual you get in Final Fantasy games, the more fucked up and sad they are.
Yeah. Who's our character of levity? Is Vanille our levity character in this?
I would think so far. I mean, she's the
God, yeah,
bubbly,
this is
fun
gonna be
one.
rough then, isn't
Souse
it?
falls on his butt and he has a bird.
That's true.
He
That's
is pretty
true.
slapstick.
That's true. Fair enough. We also get another. I think it's here that we get another weapon for lightning. The Gladius.
Yeah.
I think that just shifts kind of like magic to
Strength.
yeah, it's kind of like when we first got Snow's first coat, it kind of just shifted like the magic to the defense to offense.
Yeah.
Arc or something like that, right?
The Gladius, a classic of arcade shooting, is being revived in a big way for the
That's right.
PSP because retailers
only
in
really,
Japan
like-
report that Konami will bring 5.
Yeah. There's only really like 2 stats that weapons have, and that's just magic attack and physical attack,
And
right?
strength, yeah.
It's a cool looking blade though. It does have
Yeah.
like a kind of more angular, like square looking blade, which fits the kind of design
Mm-hmm.
of this area.
And then they'll also have statuses that come along with them. That's kind of what weapons are in this. They're like a attack stat, a magic attack stat, and then any other special stats or like a boost that'll come along with it. And this one, yeah, is more geared toward physical attack.
Yeah, so I equipped that shit immediately.
Yes.
I think
Which,
I also added an accessory, which I finally figured out how to remove. But I was just like, yeah, lightning is just going to be all pure strength build. Pure
Sure.
unga bunga, let's go.
I will say that we can't do anything about it now because we don't have the ability to change jobs or whatever. This game is kind of the opposite in that the Unga Bunga build is the magic build in this game. It's very weird. But like in my experience, like you can do numbers by upping your magic attack in this game if you have people who can cast magic. Right now, lightning is purely the commando role, which is the physical attacker. So yeah. Right now, the Gladius is a good thing to equip.
Oh, Glades.
Gladius, you want to hop in my Mercedes?
We reached this cool, like, kind of hallway catwalk kind of thing. When you were playing, it looked like a shitty mall entrance
Yo,
because it's just full of. We see some flying Seeth in this area.
Oh, I love this area. I think this.
Yeah, it's a long corridor, but there's like lots of lanterns and stuff hanging around. It's very lit differently.
Yeah. There's there's almost like little street lamps or whatever. It's real nice looking. I really, really like this room. I think it looks very good.
yeah, it's very
Beautiful.
pretty.
I think this is also where we fight the ghouls.
The
Or no,
ghasts. Yeah, so there was a ghast fight.
They're tankier looking.
There was a
Chunks.
ghast fight right before this where there was kind of a little like cinematic. I wouldn't call it quite a cutscene, but lightning kind of like, equips her weapon and gets ready to fight one of the ghasts, and then it's kind of just being like, hey, this is the mini boss version of this thing. And then at the end of this hallway, we got to fight 2 of them, and they're relatively rough. I think they did a lot of damage, so I had to definitely use a couple of potions here.
Yeah.
This is also like the design where I started noticing the kind of like bark, like tree bark kind
Yeah.
of nature of like
Yeah.
the shapes of their arms and stuff. It's cool. It's kind of like somewhere between crystal and wood, which is
Yeah,
really
like crystal and
interesting.
wood or some sort of like circuitry.
Oh yeah.
Mhm. I will say still at this point, like using blitz every turn is just like the way to go. For as long as there's like more than one enemy on screen, just fucking
Teach me
blitz every
how to
time.
blitz.
Always the right decision.
Always be blitzing.
Always be blitzing. Because you only need to hit 2 enemies for the amount of damage you output to scale over what you would have output with 2 normal attacks. So as long as you hit 2 enemies with a blitz.
Exactly, yeah. It's worth it if they're close.
Yeah.
And I think this is when we come up the steps and find someone.
Yeah, we find an elevator, right? So we get to my favorite mechanic in any video game. Once we get to like this elevator that's moving, we get a little cinematic of the elevator moving, and we can still move lightning around and run around in circles. It's very reminiscent of Final Fantasy VII.
All right, it's a stairs that moves. It's an elevator just goes up to like another little
set of stairs,
right?
yeah.
Yeah,
like
which seems really dangerous, because if you fell down those stairs, you would just fall forever.
I feel like it's exactly as dangerous as an escalator, though, at least.
Well, I don't know. I feel like the bottom of escalators don't plunge off into like the depths of nothingness.
True.
It also seems kind of funny that they made an elevator that just stops at the bottom of some stairs. You could have just made the elevator go like 10 feet higher.
Just
and
add
build it
13
flat.
more stairs, my dude.
Yeah, so we take the little elevator up, right? We go to those little stairs, and there's a body laying in front of us, right?
It's a tiny lightning.
Yeah,
it's a tiny lightning.
A little lightning.
She's got her like pleated skirt.
Mm-hmm.
We'll find out she has a haircut we coined as the long misty.
The long misty.
The long misty, yeah.
That's it. Oh, I wish I was there when y'all said that. That's really good.
But yeah, very similar hair color, very similar look, obviously related to lightning.
Right.
And she sees her laying there and runs up and says, Sarah, and picks her up and like grabs her in her arms.
Sarah! Time to go. We have to leave before the army. What?
And he points at her arm and is like, yo, she has a sick tribal tattoo.
Yo,
that is going to play really well in the mid-90s.
That's a Pulse brand.
Mm-hmm.
That's dude, she must love Godsmack, because that is definitely the logo off their Red album.
I'm not the one who's so far away when I feel the LC enter my veins. Why did I say LC? Damn it, I fucking ruined it.
But yeah, yeah, so Saz says that girl's Lassie, and Lightning's like, yeah, I already told you that.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's like, no shit, idiot.
But then he starts reaching for his gun, right?
Mm-hmm.
He reaches for his gun and he's like, Lassie are enemies of Pulse.
Yeah,
and Lightning
like if she
sees
fails
that
her
he is
focus.
reaching for his gun. And it's like, oh, so what? They should die? And she kind of like turns a little bit too. Like she's kind of protecting Sarah from Saz now. Which is like terrifying, right? Because like Saz is our homie. We've been like, like they've only known each other for a little while, but like those are our characters.
This is a really good scene as well, and I'm so glad that the graphics are as good as they are, and they've held up as well as they do. Because you can see on Saz's face that he's very pained by this. Like he doesn't want to be. No.
Saz has like large eyes, and I feel like his expressions come through stronger than most people's in this game. Like, there's he has lots of complex emotions, and he doesn't even have to say anything to show them. It's really nice.
Yeah,
the voice acting is also really good too.
He's making his case. He's like, if she fails her focus, you know how it's going to end.
Yeah, Sarah kind of does regain consciousness for just a moment, and she's like, oh, lightning, and
you came.
She says,
you came, yeah. And then we see Snow and Vanille and
riding yet another elevator,
coming down off an elevator.
Okay, so now that makes sense. There's just an elevator coming to 2 bottoms of steps. I don't know.
Who can tell with these pulse vestiges? I just can't even tell anymore.
Yeah,
so many escalators. They should call them lazies.
And then my eyes rolled so hard that my retinas detached from the fucking back of my head.
We finally get someone to blame for all of the enabling that has gaslit Snow into thinking he's a badass. She says, "Is that my hero?"
Oh, but
they say that a hero.
You know what the thing is, like, now on my 3rd or 4th attempt to play through the Final Fantasy VII remake, I'm having a good time. I'm having a good time with it. And I remember the first time.
Are you a shooting star shooting through the skies?
I remember my first time playing where like Cloud catches Aerith and she goes, "Ooh, my hero." And I was like, I'm putting this game away right now. That's the laziest thing I've ever heard. Like, it sucks.
She's like olive oil in a Popeye costume. Oh, Cloud, my hero.
Yeah. She has little arms, like
that
olive
makes
oil arms.
Johnny is Bluto, I guess.
Yeah. But I like to Snow runs up to her. He takes Sarah's hand, right? And he's like, okay, we're gonna get you home. And Lightning's like, no the fuck you're not. I'm taking her home. Yeah. And he says, but sis, and she goes, I'm not your sister.
I love it, dude. I love it.
I love it so much.
She wants nothing to do with him.
I know.
She says, you couldn't protect her. It's your fault, she.
Yeah.
And then Sarah cuts him off, right?
Yeah, Sarah interrupts and says, you can save us.
You can save us. Protect us all. Save Cocoon. Save Cocoon? Sarah, that was your focus?
Yeah. And then, like, Snow just fucking runs with it or whatever, where it's like, oh, save Cocoon. Yeah, I'll do that. I'll save everybody. I'll protect everybody and save him. Don't even worry about it. And I'm like, Snow, shut the fuck up.
Lightning's more in the thing, like, she's like, wait, was that your focus? Your focus is to save Cocoon? Yeah.
She's a little bit more, like, mission minded here. We're like, is that what's happening? And Sarah's not really able to tell us anything more, right?
Yeah.
I think she says like, I'm so happy or something like that, right? That she's able to.
Lightning says somehow I'll make things right.
Yeah.
And Snow says you just relax.
He says you just relax and gives the fucking Pixar smile, like the side smile that
the fucking DreamWorks smirk.
The DreamWorks, the DreamWorks.
The
smile.
dream smirk.
Yeah, he did do that, didn't he?
Yeah. And she says thank you, and then immediately starts glowing. Like a beautiful, brilliant light, and starts floating into the sky, which I don't think is usually a good sign.
No. And she turns into crystal, right? Mm-hmm. And a single tear like falls off of her and lands in Snow's hands, and it's like a giant like diamond.
Whoa.
Yeah, it looks like the necklace in Titanic.
Yeah. Yeah, so
everyone's kind of freaking out, like, why the hell is she turned to crystal? Asks Vanille.
Yeah, Lightning looks like devastated. Like there's a lot of emotion in her face as well.
Yeah, and Snow says, "Good night, Sarah," or whatever. Like that's the end. And Lightning's like,
"Sweet dreams" or something.
Sweet dreams. And Lightning goes, "She's not sleeping." And I love this like juxtaposition between Snow and Lightning, because like Snow's very like poetic, right? Like he's very like, oh, sleep well or good night or whatever. And she's like, what the fuck are you talking about? She is dead and you killed her. Like,
yeah. Great moment too is as like he's saying that and he's like, oh, okay, like good. He's like relieved and she's fucking pissed. She's beelining for him and she fucking shoves Saz out of the way. She's just like,
yeah, she does.
She's like, sweet dreams, like beating the shit out of everyone in her path. It's so good.
Yeah.
It's definitely like sums up their personality. Like she's a realist and he's kind of like an
he's a romantic.
Yeah, he's a romantic. He has big ideas but can't like he's not very grounded.
He says like, oh, it's just like the legends say, if you complete your focus, you're granted eternal life, right?
Yeah, you turn to crystal and gain eternal life.
Yeah, before Hope said, let's see you fulfill their focus or transform into crystal and gain eternal life.
Yeah,
and he's like, yeah, she's not dead. She's just a big ass crystal. It's fine.
Yeah, it's fine. And he's like getting ready.
I'll marry Crystal. I'll marry anything.
Yeah. Well, he's essentially kind of saying that, because the next line he starts to say is like, I don't care how long I have to wait. And then fucking like Lightning just punches him in the face, completely decks the shit out of him, knocks him to the ground. Him. Yeah, she just says, it's over. It's over.
It's over. Open your eyes and face reality.
Yeah, and then we get a little bit of narration from Vanille, who's like, does becoming a l'Cie really mean losing everything? So she just spells out the theme and plot of the rest of the game right there. So
everything starts shaking.
And then everything starts shaking.
Everything starts a-shaken, and Saz knows what that means. Yeah, he's like, that's the army.
Yeah.
We see some of those flippy-flappy pterodactyls.
We get... and I want to say, like, I get it. It's a pre-rendered cutscene, and so like you can have graphics be essentially as good as you want them to be to some extent, but this looks fan-fucking-tastic, this cutscene.
The colors are great. Like I think maybe it's just because of how mushy a lot of CG has become in like a lot of movies, where like they just kind of like have to like get everything to kind of match. The contrast of these scenes in lighting is really nice, like with lots of purples and greens. Like, even there's a lot happening. Yeah,
I could see where, like, a criticism of it could be that it's very, very busy. Like, these
it's
scenes.
Very dense.
It is. And in that way, that's true.
But it's exciting.
It is. Like, it's very, I feel like it's almost cheating to just say it's very eldritch. right? But like, there's so much weird shit going on that we don't understand, and there's like these weird forces at play and shit that like.
I was saying this game is very Greebly.
It's so Greebly.
I forget who said it.
There's so many Greebles and everything.
I forget who said it to me, but someone pointed out that like, yeah, this is post-Advent children, so they're easily able to just flex like their power, like even though it's just like a PS3 game or what. I say just a PS3 game, but like Square Enix has invested so much money into the CGI
like
technology
Within.
of Spirits Within and Advent Children, and in this they're like, we can finally fucking put that into a game and put it to use in a different format that's not just movies. Yeah, even though this is just a movie that we're watching essentially.
I mean, even the pre-rendered from last season, which was like 3 years prior,
surprisingly good.
Yeah,
Dirge was looking so good,
but they're nailing like, you know, I think what really shows in like the skin textures and like the hair and stuff on characters' faces, like, and I think we'll talk about a lot next episode. There's a lot of really just beautiful, subtle details that they added.
Yeah,
but we're seeing this giant vestige kind of getting, I don't know, transported.
It's still kind of being transported, yeah.
But then there's like these giant like green lasers sights kind of just like locking onto it or something.
Yeah, and we hear a voice basically saying like, okay, we're greenlit, we're good to go. We're going to destroy this thing. The Pulse Vestige never existed.
Yeah, leave no trace.
Yeah. Which
execute Order 66.
Yeah, which they try to accomplish by shooting harpoons into it.
Shooting giant strands of Laffy Taffy at it.
Yeah.
They're fishing lines.
There's a bunch of real thick fishing lines. Were they going to rip it apart using that afterwards? What was their plan there? How does that leave no trace of it?
Know more about this weapon technology.
Maybe they're trying to like lock it in place or something to keep it from just like floating around or something as they're just like pummeling it.
Like, could you imagine like the idea? They were like, all right, it's time to destroy this thing. Leave no trace. They harpoon it so it stays in place, and then do like a 3-year thing with like a bunch of engineers and like like civil engineers and like workers come out.
It's like reverse development.
Yeah, they slowly dismantle it over years and years, like with all the safety protocols and stuff. And like we're just getting the very beginning of it, where they're like, yeah, we're gonna destroy this thing through careful planned demolition.
But yeah, it kind of shifts into the scene of what our party is seeing, and you know, seeing these harpoon fishing lines or whatever just like breaking through and just like scattered all along the ceiling now, like again locking it in place. And Saz says that, you know, like, oh, this must be a sanctum strike, like bring this whole thing down, like and the fal'Cie right with it, like and right. Vanille says like
aren't they gonna take it back to Pulse? Isn't that what the purge was? And Saz is like, all they care about is getting this stuff off of Cocoon, dead or alive. It's all the same to them.
Yeah.
And like, you know, and he says that to Vanille, who's already like freaking out a little bit, and then Hope is on the floor like crying, and he grabs Vanille's hand and is like,
understandably,
he's like, they're going to kill us.
Yeah, we can't stay here, they're gonna kill us, which is like, he's thought that the entire time, just being within proximity of the fal'Cie.
Right.
But then Snow's just like, I'll be right back, hold on.
Yeah, well, a door opened. The door that was like on the other side of this little walkway where we were talking to Sarah and we met her on and everything, it opens up, and it's far more decorated than any of the other doors or portals or whatever.
It's the vault door that we were talking about last season.
It's the big vault door. And so I guess, like, you know, the implication is that the fal'Cie is through there.
Yeah, and it's glowing. The glowing red that we see is actually the exact same like shape as Sarah's like tribal tattoo, like the mark of the fal'Cie or the LC or the l'Cie.
It is very reminiscent of like the weird glyphs in the cloisters from FFXIII.
Yeah.
It opens up and
Snow grabs the hand of Crystal Sarah, and he says like, hold on, I'll be right back.
Yeah. And he starts walking to it, and I like that Saz calls him Trenchcoat, and he goes, hey, Trenchcoat, where are you going? And he's like, oh, I got a date with the fal'Cie. We have some things to talk about. Like he's gonna go do something. And again, like, I feel like if any of the other characters had said this, if Lightning said this, I'd be like, she's gonna kick the shit out of it. And so with Snow, I'm just like, Snow, don't go. Don't do it.
Once again, everyone's like, what are you doing? And it was like, I gotta do something.
Heart thoroughly in the right place. Brain needs a lot of work, and how he's gonna accomplish this.
Right.
What? You're gonna ask it to help her? Are you out of your mind, kid? That thing wants to chew us up and spit us out.
If we ask the fascists to not be, awful, like surely they'll agree with us.
Yeah, surely they'll
good-natured
understand.
enough.
And
Debate me, says Snow.
and then
Meet me on the
Lightning,
marketplace of ideas.
and then Lightning, without saying anything, just starts to walk ahead. She just like outpasses, she outpaces Snow or whatever. And he just looks at her and he's like in a little bit of disbelief. And he's like, "Oh, Lightning!" So like she is also going to go have a date with the Fal'Cie. So the Fal'Cie is in a polyamorous relationship with Lightning and Snow.
But now our party, because we still have to like fight some ghouls and goblins up this stairway. We are now a party of Snow, Lightning, and Saz.
Which is a very strong
because
party.
Saz is just like, he just kind of like begrudgingly goes along with them. He's like, well,
Yeah.
shit. Like,
Well, I
have
kind
no
of get
choice
it.
here.
Like, there's nothing else that any of these people can do. Like, even Hope,
he's like,
he can't do
fuck it,
anything
I gotta
else.
go and kill this thing. I guess here we go.
Or Saz and Hope, who just seem like they do not want to be here at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Saz and Hope, it seems like they don't want to be here. And Vanille is just question mark?
Yeah.
Is just here.
Motives unknown.
Yeah.
Before we go through that door, though, we can save.
We can save.
Yeah, there's a bunch more encounters here as well with some ghasts and stuff. You can get a preemptive strike and
We can fight
all that good
flying
stuff.
Seath.
Oh, yeah, the flappy Seath.
I don't think I
guys?
can't remember if I fought any of them. I think I just avoided them because they scared me.
Evasion unreal on them MFs, let me tell you.
Yeah.
Like, you just be attacking and miss. And you're
I
like,
think they're
come
called
on.
Whites.
Damn.
Wraiths. Yeah, that's probably
Are
right.
they called Wraiths?
I think that's right.
Whites, yeah. WIGHT, yeah.
All right.
Looking at their data entry. Frequently evades attacks.
But yeah, we can make our way through this door, and it's a surprisingly long hallway. And it gets like pretty dark, but
It's very dark in there.
once we get to the end of it, that's where the screen kind of goes black. And I think, is that where we're going to call it for this week?
And I think that's what we're going to call it for today. Yeah.
We'll see what this, we'll ask politely to have Sarah not be Christified.
Let's go to the Hymn of the Faith.
Yeah.
We're hearing it. Echoing down the hallway.
Oh, wait, speaking of that, I completely forgot about this. There was a very sick Hamauzu track when we were fighting the ghouls and experiencing the ghouls for the first time, like the Seath.
This is the butt rock track, right?
No, it's the one that just sounds like there's fucking jaw harp, like it's the Mihan High Road.
Oh yeah, the whole environment. Like, there's actually, this is another cool thing. Like, when we first enter the Vestige, there's like this kind of little high like vocal bit. Apparently, Hamauzu, like, his daughter sang on this track.
That's
Oh,
so
wow.
cute. That's so sweet.
But then it turns into this kind of like ethereal thing. But like during some of the spooky sections, we do hear this jaw harp in the background. I was like, is this, like you were saying, like, is this Hamauzu's like signature? Like, he just brought it out in Mihan High Road, and now
It's
like
so
here.
good. Like, it doesn't seem like it would be fitting, but that somehow makes it more fitting, in my opinion. Like, it's really weird, and that whole scene is really weird. So, like, I mean, like you were saying earlier, Curtis, like, very much a horror presentation, and just a goofy sound like that in there doesn't like take away from the horror elements of it. Really, it kind of
It
just
makes
like
it more otherworldly. and
yeah,
odd.
it makes
Yeah.
it very just weird and uncanny and uncomfortable, and I fucking love it.
Do we mention ever the music for the Hanging Edge while we were there?
I mean, we mentioned the obviously the battle music. There's some cool, interesting tracks.
The music for the Hanging Edge is really good. Like, I know it's the first area in the game, but it's probably my favorite like area music.
Yeah, soundtrack so far, incredible.
There's a lot of cool movements in all these tracks. They like really go places. Like
Yeah.
even when you first enter the Vestige, like, oh man, I don't really like the sound of this. Like, the vocal line on its own sounds really dissonant and kind of creepy, and then the chords come in and recontextualize and make it seem almost like heavenly.
Yeah.
It's really cool juxtaposition.
It's really interesting. I feel like this. So I don't know if there's any Nobuo on this soundtrack.
No, this
I
is
don't think
all
there's any,
Hamauzu.
yeah.
all Hamauzu. And the thing is, that,
I think
like,
this is his second full game on his own after Dirge.
okay, because I was gonna say, like, when I first played this game, when I was an idiot because I was a child, I was like, I don't like the soundtrack as much because it doesn't have like a lot of hooks, maybe like in the same way that a lot of Nobuo tracks have. But over time, have come to love this soundtrack because while it doesn't have the super hooky melodies, it still does have melody in it.
Yeah.
And it still does have like things that you can kind of like, they grab your attention and kind of anchor you to the music. And so like, it's very good on multiple levels. I actually think this is one of the better soundtracks.
Yeah, and I think in a couple of episodes, either next one or the one after that, we'll actually kind of talk about that more in detail, I'm sure, because there's definitely a hook that, we've already heard in the main menu, but it kind of, gets recontextualized in a couple different tracks as well, which is, I'm always a sucker for that.
Yeah, yeah.
So I've downloaded a really cool version of the soundtrack, which came with composer notes. So Hamauzu actually gave commentary on like some of the intent and stuff behind each track, and it's really cool. I would definitely recommend checking it out.
I would love to see that.
Yeah, the Vestige says, the backing chorus is actually a recording of my daughter Aya's voice. I had her sing for a demo, but ended up using it. Since I was told that FF13 had various dark scenes, especially in the beginning of the game, I wanted to create a mood of light tension here. Yeah, and so like by using conventional minor sounds, it would be too tacky and too heavy, so I deliberately used chords that would sound neither major nor minor, which is actually, I feel like, a very Japanese thing. They do a lot of things where like they sing over major chords to kind of make it sound a little sad or kind of uncertain.
The little modal mixture.
Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah, it's very nice. And I think that's the thing, and one of the reasons why this soundtrack to me has aged so well is that there's a lot to dig into in that way. You start seeing like how appropriate everything is, whereas like still to this day a little bit some of his tracks in 10, I'm like, it's a creative option you had there to go with the sound for this. Like that's interesting. And so I feel like this is a much more refined version of that.
This is also, I think, one of the first times they were really like using synthesizers in conjunction with like orchestras.
Oh, true.
For Final Fantasy games, because like 10 was still like all synthesized, I think, until they did like the remastered and whatever, which might have had some live orchestration.
I can't believe that Sudeki Dane was synthesized, the vocals. That's amazing.
I don't think we mentioned this on the podcast, but Alex mentioned this to me. I noticed it, and now you have to notice it, listener. I'm cursing everyone with his knowledge.
Not just the Among Us curse, but now this one as well.
Yeah, so not only do you have to see the Zerg Scandroid as an Amogus, but now you have to know that there's one note that comes in late in Blinded by Light.
or it comes in a little early.
I'm sorry, you're right. It is early. It's early.
When it does the key change, like
it's one of the staccato notes on the lead violin, which like the lead violin is the best part. Right. It does that once, so let that go through one time. It's not there. But once, you said it does a little key change, it kind of rises.
It's about to do the turnaround.
That note. That one comes in just a hair early. It's like barely. It's barely early. But it was funny because Alex said to me, one of the notes are early. Didn't say which one, didn't say where it was, but knowing that information, I went in and I was like, it's this one, isn't it? And he's like, yes, okay, so I'm not crazy. You hear it too. And I'm like, there's one note that's early. And it's like so minorly early. Like it's almost imperceptible. Like if you're not listening for it, you'll never hear it.
It's like the violinist psyched himself out, like, okay, here comes the turnaround. I'm gonna have to like, which happens all the time when you're like thinking about something as you're playing something. Sometimes you can kind of fuck yourself up. But to their credit, they played it live, which I think is really
what that means is it's not quantized, which holy shit, they did such an amazing job.
I heard after that conversation was going on, which I was also a part of, I heard it and I just was like, that's just jazz, baby.
That's just jazz, baby.
That's just jazz. No, but I also am a longtime bass player who has never practiced enough for any of the shows that I've played. So my main signature move is to play the wrong note by accident and fuck up, but because it's bass, I just slide that bad boy down to the correct note, and then that's just a little flavor on the bass line there. So you know what? Critical support to Hamauzu's violinist, who was nailing it, in my opinion.
Yeah. And that's the thing. It's like it's definitely not a criticism at all, right? Like it's an incredible performance. Like that take is fucking fire. But I just thought it was very funny because Alex noticed it. And I was like, "Oh my god, there it is!"
It's the moment that you realize.
I mean, even the Beatles have wrong notes here and there. So you know, they did a shit live. They could have comped it together, but I like that it's there.
It's the moment that you realize that Mint Jams by Cassiopeia is a live album that they just fucking whipped out and played live and recorded and threw
Unbelievable.
it all down. Because you like you'll hear
Unbelievable.
some of the guitar solos that like don't quite nail it, and you're like, damn, they went with that take, and then you're like, oh no, they were just playing, and this album is fucking incredible.
Yeah, it's great.
We're talking a little inside blitzball here for the listeners.
It's
but-
true.
Yeah.
It's true. But yeah, that's all for this week.
Yeah. It's been Music Corner, brought to you by the Every FNFF podcast.
We get to be fucking nerds.
Yeah, no, that's what makes us nerds is talking about music, not the podcast about Final
Oh yeah,
Fantasy.
not the cool video game podcast.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you're listening to this when this drops, I'll try to remember to share a link to the this cool little music commentary. It's very cool.
Yeah.
Hearing all that stuff, because music is often overlooked. People talk about like, oh, the actors or like the artwork, but
Yeah.
hearing how the music is made is really fun.
Music and sound, like in general, is always interesting.
He just knocked out like the main like Blinded by Light theme for the 2006 like E3. Like Dirge of Cerberus had just come out.
Yeah.
He's just constantly cranking out bangers. It's cool.
Yeah, it really, really impressive. But, you know, I think you're right, too. I think that, like, one of the things this season, because the game is so linear or whatever, one of the more interesting things we'll have to talk about is things like the sounds, the music, the fact that you can translate all of the signs that are everywhere, right? Like, the interesting things like that. And so it's like, it is very easy to overlook how much work goes into all those things.
Yeah, it's incredibly dense,
Oh, yeah.
especially in terms of overlooking just like data logs. Like, I'm
Oh, yeah.
sure that there's going to be people who are listening to this who have probably played the game multiple times, and they'll learn something new just because we're going. Alex,
Me.
Alex made it so much easier for us to go as deep as possible by just turning all the data logs into a wiki.
Yeah.
It's like, I ain't taking screenshots. Fuck that.
Yeah, friendship with screenshots ended.
But yeah, that's all I got for this episode.
Yeah, that's same here.
This comes out on the 30th, I think.
Yeah. So I do have an announcement.
What's coming up in August?
In August, on August 7th, we're going to have a Zaku show at Century Bar in Philadelphia. Everybody's invited. So come out to that one. It's gonna be a
Hell
good time.
yes.
Anyone else playing?
I think Close to Good is playing.
I heard that Close to Good is actually better than Ezra.
Yeah, Better Than Ezra is playing. No, Better Than Ezra is not playing. But please, I hope nobody from Better Than Ezra is like, wait, what the fuck?
Longtime listeners of the
that they're
show,
listening.
Better Than Ezra.
Yeah, I know that they're
Much
listening.
like their song that launched them into stardom in the 90s, they think that this podcast is pretty good.
Ah, very, very nice. So it'll be Close to Good and Stegosaurus Rex.
Oh yeah, hell yeah, Stegosaurus Rex.
Yep.
Shout outs to that.
Close to Good, Stegosaurus Rex, and Zaku, August 7th at Century Bar. Be there or don't be there.
Gonna be a banger.
Was that pickle jar actually yours?
That was. Somebody tagged me in it and was like, there it is. And I was like, oh, that is the one I had. Yep, that's the one. For the listener, just so you know what that means, I played with a band that was selling spicy pickles instead of t-shirts. And I bought a whole jar of them, and I ate a good 80% of them while I was like dancing to that band playing. And then I just didn't take the jar home. I left it in the basement.
Littering. Already
That's right.
getting close to getting canceled.
That's Philly, baby. And for me, on August 5th, my band, The Human Fly, will be releasing our first album as a full
Yes.
band.
Hell yeah.
Go check that out. I'm excited. We recorded it well over a year ago. Just lots of cramming and turmoil in the studio cranking this out. We thought there was many times where like our morale was very low. We almost like, well, like, we got 4 songs ready, right? We can get an EP done at least, but we got it.
Sounds like recording.
You can also pre-order a tape if you want, because it's the same price as buying it digital, which is really cool. So you can either get it digitally or get a tape and digital.
Yeah, and tapes are cool.
Robert made amazing art for it.
The art is very good.
Check it out.
Friendly just tidbit about if you do buy a cassette tape, I recommend if you have a cassette deck in your car, don't leave it in there in the hot days of summer as we all slip further and further into hell during this climate catastrophe, because my band released cassettes a million years ago, and then someone sent a text to our singer of his cassette that was left in the deck, and it's just completely melted. So do not recommend. I think that's actually the last post we ever made on our band Instagram for Howlish, is just
R.I.P.
the melted cassette tape of Outer.
Brutal.
Oh, I think I posted that and I made the caption, "That face when your tape is too fire," with a bunch of flames.
Anything coming up for you?
No, not really.
In August? All right. Keep on streaming on.
Keep on streaming. I'm trying to do more of that Pokemon bullshit and whatnot. So
yeah, that's been fun.
It's been really fun, and it's been a good challenge in all senses of the word.
Well, Alex, would you like to take us on a date with the Pulse Fallacy?
Absolutely. Run the hill.
To make a deal with that fallacy.
Thinking about Masashi Uzu, as always. Leave us a review on iTunes or Spotify or anything you find us on. I'm a little rusty still. You can text us or leave us a message at 530-MATERIA. That's still there. I'm trying to keep it up. You can find us at EveryEvanFF on Twitter, Instagram, and you can join our Discord at any of those locations. And leave no trace. The podcast never existed.
All right. Goodbye.